People think maybe this is just a small niche thing. It's not. There are a lot of cults in America, even today. And I know, I mean, I've talked a lot about Scientology on this show and the other shows I've had, but they have a lot of the features where you buy in at this level and then you have to pay all this money to advance to the next level. And that's also, I know, a feature of cults. Moreover, them learning what your weaknesses are in these little sessions that they have where you've got to like pour your heart out through these little Campbell's cans,
yep.
the soup cans through the string like we used to do when we were kids. And then the other person knows all your vulnerabilities, which get used against you. But like the cult Michelle talked about, like the Moonies, there's something for you in there. The Scientology messaging of don't associate with the negative people. They're suppressive people. Move on. There's no reason to bask in that negativity. You get rid of them. There's something attractive and there's something positive about it. So there's always something, right? They do have something good to reel you in until you learn about all the other stuff. But by that point, they're hoping it's too late.
So I want you to be clear and understand, and your listeners, that people don't understand what the group is and what the beliefs are or what's going to happen to them. If there was actual informed consent where people understood what the beliefs were, people wouldn't get involved in the first place. In my work and in my doctoral dissertation that I did, I talk about behavior control, information control, thought control, and emotional control variables. I call it the BITE model of authoritarian control. And I go through a laundry list of the most common techniques that all types of cults, political cults, therapy cults, religious cults, one-on-one cults even, use on people. And what's missing is, for the public, is to have an understanding that influence exists on a continuum from ethical influence to unethical, and what to watch out for. So preventive education, and that's why I'm so grateful that you had Michelle on your show and that I'm able to do this show, is because people don't want to be lied to. They don't want to be tricked. They don't want to be mind controlled and abused or trafficked. And if they understood how to reality test for themselves, whether they're in a mind control environment, then they'll, won't join, or they'll get out if they're already in.
Yes. So I've had a long interest in this, including interviews in depth with Catherine Oxenberg, she was a famous star. She is a famous star and was very big in the 1980s. And her daughter, India Oxenberg, who was lured into this cult NXIVM, which is from my hometown, Albany, New York. You wouldn't have thought, I wouldn't have thought it could happen in an upstate New York community. People are very sensible. You kind of always think it's not going to be me. It's not going to be my hometown. We're too no, wrong. Can happen anywhere. And here she is, this glamorous, absolutely stunning woman, very well known, and her beautiful daughter. And they went for a female empowerment. That's what they were told it was going to be about. Start a business for female leaders. And her daughter thought that was attractive. And Catherine thought, sure, I'll go. I'll support you. And they went, and then they took maybe another seminar, and then maybe a third. And then Catherine was like, I'm good. And India was getting more and more into it. And of course, you did need to buy up to the next level of courses. And it had all the features, right? It was like they revered the one guy, Keith Raniere, this short, unattractive, disgusting man. They always are. It's never the Robert Redford, Brad Pitt type who's at the center. All the women, as it turns out, were having sex with him. The women wound up being branded within this weird little sex cult that was baked into the cult. Anyway, it was such a story as Catherine tried to get her daughter out of this, thank God, successfully. But the pulling out is so much harder than the pulling in.
Yeah, exactly. I would say that I knew about Keith Raniere when he got busted by 20 attorneys general for his multi-level marketing cult, Consumers Byline. Multi-level marketing cults, promise the pie in the sky, you'll make a fortune, but it's all about behavior, information, thought, and emotional control to make people dependent. He was forbidden from doing an MLM. He recruited Nancy Salzman to be the front person and did an
Yeah.
MLM for coaching. And so the whole NXIVM program, I have a lot of information on my freedomofmind.com website about NXIVM and all the techniques they've used. And I'll also add, after my deprogramming in 1976 from the Moonies, I befriended ex-Scientologists and started learning. I befriended Paulette Cooper, who was unmercifully attacked by Scientology, and I got labeled a suppressive person. And I'm very close friends with John Atack, who's written the best books on Scientology, being a former member himself and brilliant. People need to understand it can happen to anyone, and it makes a lot of sense for preventive education, consumer awareness. Again, why I'm so grateful, Megyn, that you're doing this show.
Well, how do you know, right? Like I know lots of people who pay to go to a self-help workshop, or I don't know, you learn how to do some sort of stress management techniques, what have you. There's all sorts of things out there. And they bounce from one to another, but they never get drawn into a cult. Like they don't wind up giving their money. They just sort of test different things. But is there a personality type who is more likely to be susceptible to this?
Personality type. I would say probably if you're oriented to being a people pleaser and you haven't been taught how to be assertive, to say no, you're going to be more likely susceptible to being manipulated, especially by trained recruiters who know a lot of social influence techniques. But I want to state categorically that everyone is situationally vulnerable. Death of a loved one, an illness, a breakup in a relationship, losing a job, moving to a new city, state, or country that throws you off balance, where somebody can come in and start telling you with certainty how much your life can get better, or how you can be help to save the world and make the world a better place. With Scientology, it's more about power than saving the world. There's an element of clearing the planet and getting rid of all the evil mental health professionals. I'm one of those. But mostly it's a situational vulnerabilities and lack of awareness that it could happen to you. So if you're walking around thinking, oh, it only happens to weak people or stupid people or uneducated people, then you're really very, very vulnerable.
Think again. What is it about Keith Raniere or Sun Myung Moon or L. Ron Hubbard and now his disciple, David Miscavige of Scientology? What is it about them that makes them so good at persuasion, that makes them, you talk about Keith Raniere, he's just some loser. I mean, this guy never accomplished anything in his life. So how does he have these enormous powers of persuasion to get so many people to follow him?
That's a really good question. So I want to cite Eric Fromm, who was brilliant, wrote in the 40s. He talked about malignant narcissists. And I have said in my books that this is the stereotypical profile of cult leaders: the grandiosity, the certainty, the need for attention, but the lack of empathy, but also thinking that they're above the law, the pathological lying. And there's a whole list that I have on my website. So certainty is something that the average person tends to go, they're so sure, maybe they know something I don't know, as opposed to, this person has a personality disorder. They're a narcissist.
Yeah.
And I should be more skeptical of anyone with that level of certainty and such. But I also want to comment that I just finished 2 chapters for a textbook on hypnosis, about the dark side of hypnosis. And I wrote about Hubbard being a hypnotist, and that the entire system is based on hypnosis. And Raniere learned neurolinguistic programming, which was based on the work of Milton Erickson, who is the penultimate hypnotherapist, psychiatrist. So what I want to say to your listeners is that human beings go in and out of altered states of consciousness all day long, and hypnosis is not sleep. It's about a focusing and narrowing of your attention, which makes you more suggestible to ideas.
Oh, wow.
And this is a great superpower for people who are super successful to enter into this kind of flow state where they're able to super concentrate. But if you're in an environment with someone with a hidden agenda who can start putting in beliefs and ideas like you've lived before, or that, the world is filled with body thetans, which is part of Hubbard's sci-fi ideology, the critical mind gets bypassed.
Some people take CBD for better sleep or less stress or more calm. Some take it for pain relief, better energy, or better focus and concentration. Today, I want to tell you about CB Distillery and their over 2 million satisfied customers. According to a poll of their customers, 90% reported they do sleep better with CBD. 81% say CBD helps with stress, and 80% say CBD helps with aches and pains after physical activity. If you struggle to get a good night's sleep, if you're dealing with too much stress and you could use a little calm in your life, if you suffer with pain and discomfort, especially after physical exercise, you could give CBD a try from cbdistillery.com. Use my 20% discount by visiting cbdistillery.com and enter my initials MK for your discount. No prescription required. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code MK for 20% off. cbdistillery.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.